In this video, we are going to discuss the general concept of a Scrum. User stories originated as part of extreme programming. Naturally, stories fit perfectly with other practices of extreme programming also. Now, what is the meaning of extreme programming, which is also denoted as XP, extreme programming? It is a software development methodology which is intended to improve software quality and responsiveness to changing customer requirements. As a type of agile software development, it advocates frequent releases in short development cycles, which is intended to improve productivity and introduce checkpoints at which the new user requirements can be adopted. So that is something about extreme programming. However, stories also work well as the requirements approach for the other processes also. In this video, we will look at Scrum, another agile process, and we'll see how stories can be integrated as an important part of Scrum. So like extreme programming, Scrum is both an iterative and an incremental process. Now, since these words are used so frequently without definition, we will try to define them. What is the meaning of iterative and what is the meaning of incremental? An iterative process is one that makes progress through successive refinement. A development team takes a first cut at the system, knowing it is incomplete or weak in some areas, perhaps it can be in many areas. Then they then iteratively refine those areas until the product is satisfactory. Now, with each iteration, the software is improved through the addition of greater details. For example, in the first iteration, a search screen might be coded to support only the simplest type of search. The second iteration might add additional search criteria. Finally, a third iteration may add error handling and so on. A good analogy for this concept is sculpting. First, the sculptor selects a stone of the appropriate size. Next, he carves the general shape from the stone, and next he refines the work by adding more details. However, the sculptor is unlikely to look on any one area as complete until the entire work is complete. The second term is incremental. An incremental process is one in which software is built and delivered in pieces. Each piece or increment represents a complete subset of functionality. The increment may be either small or large, perhaps ranging from just a system's login screen on this small end to the highly flexible set of data management screens. Now, each increment is fully coded and tested, and the common expectation is that the work of an iteration will not need to be revisited. So an incremental sculptor would pick one part of the work and focus entirely on it until it's finished. So the sculptor may select small increments, first the nose and then the eyes and then the mouth and so on, or the large increments like head section or something. However, regardless of the increment size, the incremental sculptor would attempt to finish the work of that increment as completely as possible. Scrum and extreme programming or XP are both incremental and iterative in nature. They are iterative in that they plan for the work of one iteration to be improved upon in subsequent iterations. And they are incremental because completed work is delivered throughout the project. Now, the Scrum projects progress through a series of 30-day iterations, which are called as sprints. So we are talking about some basic concepts of Scrum. So Scrum projects progress through a series of 30-day iterations. This is very important. 30-day iterations, which are called as sprints, because generally we have 30 days in month. At the start of each sprint, the team determines the amount of work it can accomplish during that sprint. So work is selected from a prioritized list called as the product backlog, and the work the team believes it can complete during the sprint is moved onto a list which is called as sprint backlog. So product backlog has a list of all the tasks which needs to be completed to deliver a good product. From that list, we will select few of the entries and we'll move them to the sprint backlog. A brief daily meeting, which is also called as a daily scrum, we'll discuss all the different types of meeting in subsequent slides. So a brief daily meeting or a daily scrum is held to allow the team to inspect its progress and to adapt it as necessary. So a scrum team typically consists of 4 to 7 developers, a short team, small team, while a scrum team may involve specialist developers, testers, and database administrators. For example, a scrum team shares like we are all in this together kind of attitude. If there is testing to be done and if there is no dedicated tester available, then someone else does the testing. All work is owned collectively. Scrum teams are self-organizing. That is, there is no management directive stating that who codes and who tests. Because of this, role names such as programmer, architect, and tester are generally not used on Scrum teams. Everything about how a team accomplishes its work is left up to the team. Now, this core team is supplemented by 2 key people, the product owner and the Scrum Master. The product owner is essentially the customer of extreme programming. The product owner is largely responsible for placing items onto the list and prioritizing the product backlog list of needed functionalities. The Scrum Master is similar to a project manager, except that the role is much more one of leadership type than the management type. Now, because Scrum teams are self-organizing and given great leeway in how they complete the work of a sprint, the project's Scrum Master serves the team rather than directs it. So Scrum Master typically serves the team by removing the obstacles to progress of the project or the product development by helping the team to follow the few of the simple rules of the Scrum. Now the product backlog is the master list of all functionalities which are desired in the product. When a project is initiated, there is no comprehensive effort to write down all the foreseeable features. Typically, the product owner and the team write down everything which is obvious and which is almost always more than enough for the first sprint. The product backlog is then allowed to grow and change as more is learned about the product and its customers and its requirements. An example of product backlog is given on this slide. As you can see from this table, backlog items can be technical tasks or it can be more user-centric tasks. So refactor the login class to throw an exception is a technical task, whereas allow undo on the startup screen is a user-centric task. The product owner sorts the product backlog into priority order. Even better, the product owner is allowed, actually encouraged, to shuffle the product backlog items as priorities change from month to month. Now there are different types of meetings which happens when we talk about sprint and Scrum. A sprint planning meeting is held at the start of each sprint. The meeting usually lasts up to a full day and is attended by the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the entire team of developers. Any interested or appropriate management or customer representatives may also want to attend this meeting. During the first half of the sprint planning meeting, the product owner describes the highest priority remaining features to the team. The team asks enough questions during this in the second half of the meeting, and they can determine which items they will move from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. The product owner does not have to describe every item being tracked on the product backlog. Depending on the size of the backlog and the velocity of the team, it may be sufficient to describe only high priority items, saving the discussion of lower priority items for the next sprint planning meeting. Collectively, the team and the product owner defines a sprint goal, which is a short description of what the team plans to achieve during that sprint. So in a sprint review meeting, which is held at the end of the sprint, the team will assess their success against the sprint goal rather than against each specific item selected from the product backlog. So once the sprint starts, only the team may add work to the sprint. The CEO cannot approach the team and ask for something or the product owner. Even a salesperson or any other marketing person cannot ask for one more feature for a special customer. Or even product owner cannot change the mind and ask for additional features. The only time work may be added to a sprint is if the team finds itself ahead of schedule. At that time, the team can ask the product owner to help identify an additional item for this current sprint. In exchange for their commitment to complete the work which is selected for the sprint, the team receives a commitment from the organization that it will not change the contents of the sprint for the duration of the sprint. If something goes significant, something so significant happens that the organization feels it needs to change the sprint itself, then the current sprint is aborted and the new sprint is started by beginning with another sprint planning meeting. Each sprint is required to deliver a potentially shippable product increment. This means at the end of each month-long sprint, the team has produced a coded, tested, and usable piece of software. The software must be potentially shippable, meaning that the organization could choose to ship the software to customer or use it internally if enough new functionality is included to justify the overhead of shipping or deploying the new version. With Scrum, the developers are required to produce a potentially shippable version each month. At the end of each sprint, a sprint review meeting is held. During this meeting, the team shows what they accomplished during the sprint. Typically, this takes the form of a demo of the new features. The sprint review meeting is intentionally kept very informal, typically with rules forbidding the use of PowerPoint slides and allowing no more than 2 hours of preparation time for the meeting. A sprint review meeting should not become a distraction or significant deter for the team. Rather, it should be a natural result of the sprint. The entire team, as well as the product owner and the Scrum Master, participate in the sprint review meeting. Others who are interested in the project, such as key management people, customers, engineers from other projects, may also want to attend sprint review if they desire. Scrum is probably the first documented process to include a short daily meeting, which is called as a daily Scrum, standing Scrum. The idea, however, has quickly spread to many of the other agile processes, such as extreme programming, future-driven development, and so on. Whenever possible, we want to choose the least time-consuming and the least intrusive method of gathering and sharing project information. For many purposes, the daily Scrum achieves exactly that goal. The daily Scrum is typically held as early as possible each day, but after the entire team has arrived for the work. Everyone on the team is required to attend, including programmers, testers, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. The meeting is kept short, usually 15 minutes or less, and never should go longer than 30 minutes. To keep the meeting short, some teams require participants to stand so that you can finish the meeting in 15-20 minutes. That's why it is also referred as standing Scrum. During the daily Scrum, each team member answers 3 basic questions. Rather, it should answer only 3 questions. The daily scrum should not go beyond these 3 questions. First, what did you do yesterday? Second, what will you do today? And third, what are the obstacles in your way? If there are any problems, you can tell them. It is important that the daily scrum does not come across as a grilling by the scrum master or some kind of investigation. No. One of the goals of the meeting is to have each developer make the commitments in front of the peers. Commitments are not made to the manager or to the company, but to each other. The daily scrum should stick as closely as possible to the 3 questions which I have mentioned, and should not move off into designing parts of the system or resolving issues that were raised. Such items are noted during the meeting but are resolved afterwards. It's okay to identify a subset of the team that will meet to resolve an issue, but do not resolve issues during the scrum, during the daily scrum. So this is all about, or some basic information about a general scrum approach.